Okay, here is chapter 2 review. Worksheet. The graph of f is given. So this is the graph, and I'm going to make the highlights of what x-axis and y-axis is. So that's going to help me to identify the things better. Okay. So the first one says f of x as x goes to 2 a little bit more. So 2 a little bit more, x is 1, x is 2. 2 a little bit more would be on this side, and then the corresponding f to that would be here. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So that's equal to 3. F of x as x is approaching -3 a little bit more. So you go 1, 2, 3. That's -3. -3 a little bit more would be these areas. So, and then the corresponding f to that would be 0. F of x as x is approaching -3. It doesn't say -3 a little bit more or -3 a little bit less. So -3, 1, 2, 3. One side of -3 is approaching 0, and that's the right side. The left side of -3. So if you go a little bit lower than -3, that corresponds to -2. So one side. So basically here it is, limit of f of x as x is going to -3 a little bit less is -2. Limit of f of x as x is -3 a little bit more is 0. So that's why the limit itself, you would say, does not exist, because the left and right are not equal to each other. So limit of f of x as x goes to 4. So you would have 1, 2, 3, 4. So x going to 4, although f of 4 itself is 1, but then the limit still exists, because for approaching from left or right, you would get the limit to be equal to 2. So the limit exists and is equal to 2. It's not going to be continuous because the f of the value is different, but then the limit exists. So f of x as x gets closer and closer to 0. So as x gets closer and closer to 0, as you see up there, that as x gets closer and closer to 0, one side of the graph is going to positive infinity on this side, the other one going positive and infinity on the other side. So you would say is equal to positive infinity. So f of x, x goes to 2 a little bit less. So that would be 1, 2. 2 a little bit less would be following this graph, and that's equal to -infinity. F of x as x goes to infinity, as x gets larger and larger, f of x is approaching 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically as x gets larger and larger is this one. So it's approaching 4. And then as x gets smaller and smaller, going to -infinity, it's approaching -1.